What is your American dream?
So my American dream is to have a family and to just live a successful life, in abundance, and to give back as well to the community and society that I live in.
My American dream at the moment is just to raise a family and be happy.
My American dream is pretty simple: peace and justice for all.
My American dream is that everyone has freedom of a lot of different things. Freedom of speech, freedom to get whatever they're trying to accomplish in life, their dreams, their goals. Every dream that Americans have is something that's tangible and something that can be accomplished.
Everyone has a right to the American dream.
We're back. I'm great.
God, you know what?
It's all good.
Yo-Yo, it has been so long since we've been on. I forgot to even turn on the microphone.
It's all good. My mic is on, so if my mic is on, then they could hear you.
Because I scream.
Yes.
People ask why I scream, and probably it's because I don't hear myself. Probably. Okay. I don't know. How's everything? I heard you were a little under the weather.
Yes, I was out of it. These allergies, I'm sure you guys could hear as well. My voice is just now coming back. This is like the best it's been for a whole week and a half.
Now I understand your friends were calling you later version of Whitney Houston.
Yeah, because you know how Whitney Houston had her little raspy voice, when she was talking to Diane. Towards the end.
Yeah.
So only thing is I can't sing like Whitney still, so I don't know.
No. And you're a handsome man, but you're not Whitney Houston.
No.
You are not Whitney Houston.
Not at all.
All right. By the way, let's see who is first on Facebook. It's none other than Jonathan Yo-Yo Elias.
Oh, okay. So who's first on YouTube?
Jonathan Yo-Yo Elias.
Wow.
Congratulations.
So I finally got the first double fisting.
Yes, you got, and by the way, if you are first comment on Facebook and YouTube, you win a Brad Show mug. Jonathan, since you've swiped about 5 of them already,
yes, I have enough.
You have 4 more to go before you get another one. Let's say hello to the squad, nevertheless. Carol, the Tiger Squad Up, welcome back. Thank you very much. It's Apple Pie saying, yay, we're back. Alicia Stone, Squad Up, Brad, and his team. And Pamela Laird, Squad Up. Juliet Hilaire saying, hey, squad team, how are you? And Dawn Harriet, Squad Up. Carrie Ann Reed Davis, Squad Up. Joan Erica. Carol Lord, Squad Up to you. Vinette Pinnock Francis, Squad Up, and welcome back. Brad and Yo-Yo, missed you guys. We missed everybody too. Yes. I go into a little lull when I don't do the show.
Yes, yeah.
So I'm glad we're back.
I am too.
And I'm glad you're feeling better. Joe was under the weather also.
Know. That hurt
me just doing that.
You got to watch out.
Yeah, I had a little elbow situation yesterday in the hospital.
Oh man.
So I can't really bend my elbow a lot. I'm not supposed
to.
Chill. I'll be the one-handed host. I'll do like wax on, wax off.
It shows how much you use your hands.
Exactly. Really, I really got to sit on my hand. Daryl Winnaboss, Squad Up on YouTube. Kavar Harris, Squad Up, happy Tuesday. Westman, Squad Up, the Top Cat, double fisting. And cute one. I'm sure she's very cute.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And Ashimbiwi Freed. Cute one, by the way, saying, Squad Up, everyone. Miss you, Brad and Yo-Yo. All right, Yo-Yo. You ready to do your thing?
Absolutely. All right, squad, you already know what time it is. I need everybody to please start sharing this on all social media platforms. You could also just share, copy the link, and send it through a text. Let everybody know that we are back on. And also throw in your comments in the comment section and your questions as well, because like I say every episode, if you guys comment and put in your questions early, it's a better chance that we're going to be able to answer them. All right, so throw them in right now, because we're about to start schmoozing with Brad. We're going to talk headlines, including the good immigration news that the Department of Homeland Security has announced extended temporary protected status for eligible people from Cameroon and Ukraine. And of course, it's time to sip on some Tuesday tea, which I need some for my voice. So we'll be talking celebrity headlines, including billionaire Elon Musk, his offer to buy Twitter for $43 billion, and what that could mean for the company and society if he succeeds.
And of course, you can call 1-800-529-5465. The number scrolling at the bottom of our screen for the entire show. That is not only the telephone number for the law offices of Spar and Bernstein, it is the telephone number to call to get on our immigration show. After our schmooze in about 20-25 minutes from now, I will be answering live your legal questions. Give us a call right now, 1-800-529-5465 international. It's +1 212-227-8933. And later in the show, we're going to hear the first part of my conversation with Tara Roberts, the host and executive producer of the National Geographic Podcast, Into the Depths, which documents black divers and marine archeologists searching for slave trade shipwrecks in order to preserve the history of the African diaspora.
I'm excited about that.
And I have to tell you, she is one cool chick.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. That is so interesting.
Yeah. All right, you ready to schmooze?
Let's
do it. So we're going to start off with some trifling immigration news, Yo-Yo. On Friday, Texas Governor Greg Abbott repealed his traffic-clogging immigration order that backed up commercial trucks at the U.S.-Mexican border for over 30 hours. He is running for governor, and he is running for governor of Texas. He's the current governor of Texas. He's running for re-election, and his platform is no to immigration. Except the governors of the states really don't have control over immigration.
Right, that's what I thought.
Immigration's controlled by the federal government, but he is using immigration as a wedge issue. It's a culture issue now, instead of being an economic and humanitarian issue for the United States, which is really what it should be. It should be, what is the proper amount of immigration to the United States so we can have a sustained economy, we could all live a better life, and what is the humanitarian response to various issues that are going around the world where people are escaping from poverty, people are escaping from war, people are escaping from torture and everything else. So immigration has always been about economics and humanitarianism. And for the last generation, getting worse and worse and worse, immigration is now a culture issue. Okay, it's a culture issue about what it means to be an American. It's a culture issue about what is an American. Is an American just this white dude? Right? Or is an American somebody else? Because if you listen to the Republicans, it's a white dude.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you listen to me, Yo-Yo, American is somebody who gets to live in America.
Yeah.
And you get to live in America because of economic reasons, and you should get to live in America for humanitarian reasons. But it's now a cultural issue.
Do you feel like that turn happened after 9/11? Was that where the turn was?
The turn happened in the late 90s.
Late 90s.
The turn happened
before 9/11.
The second president, the second 4 years of Bill Clinton. When Newt Gingrich, you remember who Newt Gingrich was? He took over Congress, and he was a staunch conservative, and he forced Congress and ultimately Bill Clinton to sign a law, IRA and ETPA, and that started the turn towards militarizing police, militarizing Immigration and Naturalization Service. It wasn't even Department of Homeland Security. The 9/11 obviously escalated it all. But in the 1980s, Ronald Reagan, who was everybody's favorite staunch conservative, right? He signed amnesty. He was the last president to sign amnesty. He recognized that immigration was not a cultural wedge for political reasons, because that's what it is now. It's a cultural wedge for political reasons. But immigration is what is best economically for the United States, what is best for the United States welcoming people who are escaping all sorts of horrible situations where they are. You know, immigration's always been humanitarianism and economic prosperity for the United States. Rising tides, rise all ships. But now it's just a cultural wedge to divide Americans, you know, and as, you know, 50 million people in the United States of America either were born outside of the United States, I believe, what was our statistic? Or was first generation of the United States. So what is that? 1 out of 4 people. So
that includes me.
Right.
I'm
so
first
what's that? Like 1 out of 4, 1 out of 5 people in the
Wow.
United States are either not born in the United States or
Yeah.
first
That's a
generation
lot.
born in the United States.
That's a lot.
So, you know, the time of the Pilgrims of Thanksgiving, when the United States was 99% white pilgrims, it's no longer. And now all these Republican governors, they're all using it as a cultural wedge issue instead of thinking long term. What is the best for the United States? What rises all our tides so all our ships in the harbor rise together? But instead, I'll give you the example, Governor Abbott of Texas, he decided he's going to inspect trucks coming across the border because he says the Biden administration is not doing enough to stop undocumented immigrants from coming across the United States. So therefore, all of these undocumented immigrants must be in the back of a truck somewhere, and we're going to fine them because the U.S. government's too stupid to do it.
Wow.
Okay? So what did Abbott do instead? He, besides trucks having to go through Customs and Border Patrol for international trade, they now had to have gone through Texas Border Control, state border control, backed up trucks for over 30 hours at the border. Fruits and vegetables were rotting on trucks that were coming across from Mexico. And ultimately, pressure was building on Abbott to retreat from these inspections as gridlock on the border worsened and worsened. The American Trucking Association called the inspections wholly flawed, redundant, and adding considerable weight to an already strained supply chain. And according to the Texas International Produce Association, approximately $150 million worth of fruit and vegetables were stalled. $390 billion worth of goods come from Mexico. It's the second largest trading partner of the United States, second only to China. Now, Abbott called the inspections a zero-tolerance policy for unsafe vehicles, smuggling migrants illegally across into Texas. And you know how many migrants they found?
None.
0.
And I thought it was funny where they where they said it was also unsurprising that they found 0 because the cartel, because they were looking for drugs as well, and they were like the cartel knew about the inspection or something like that.
Of course. I mean, if you announce, you know, if you go, by the way, we're gonna be coming to your safe house,
Makes
cartel.
no sense.
We're gonna be coming to your safe house in 3 days to go arrest you all for drugs. Don't you think they'd be out of the safe house at that point?
Obviously.
So nobody's smuggling anybody because it was all announced ahead of time anyway.
Yeah.
It was all one big political charade to just make it another cultural wedge issue.
Yeah.
Instead of dealing with immigration as it should be. Immigration should be dealt with as what is best economically for the United States, what is best for the United States to be a beacon of hope for everybody, to accept people who are struggling, people who are escaping war and famine and everything else. That's the purpose of immigration.
Yeah.
And by the way, as Jill mentioned to me in my ear, they rarely, even if they don't announce that they're going to be doing inspections, rarely do they find migrants.
Yeah.
Good point, Joe. Rarely do they find migrants at inspections being smuggled in.
Right.
Migrants, if they're running across the border, they're running in rural areas where Department of Homeland Security is not, mountains, deserts, crossing in between cities.
Right.
Only 5% of Customs and Border Patrol encounters with migrants who are trying to enter undocumented are actually at the border. And of course, to add more cultural wedge issues to immigration, Governor Abbott in Texas, and this is right out of the Trump playbook, by the way, he offered bus tickets to the capital of any undocumented immigrant who came across the border, because why should the undocumented immigrants be living in Texas? They should be living in Washington, D.C., where the Biden administration allows open borders and allows them all in. And all I got to say to Governor Abbott on behalf of the immigrants he bused to Washington, those were the ones who had family on the Northeast, and thank you to the taxpayers of Texas for giving them a free bus ticket that otherwise the family would have had to pay for.
Right.
So none of them were getting on the bus for the sake of getting on the bus. They were getting on the bus because they wanted to go to the Northeast.
Yeah.
Because to be with their family. But Abbott made it out like, we're going to bus all these people to Washington, D.C., and we're going to show them. All Abbott did was have the good people of Texas buy
thank you, guys.
Buy some immigrants some bus tickets.
On behalf of them, they say thank you, guys.
There was a total. By the way, it was all over the news, and it was a total, as far as we were able to count, it was a total of 54 migrants on several buses that the Texas governor bought. But it was like a huge announcement.
Right.
And by the way, it was met with total bipartisan criticism, which caused Abbott to soften his plan and clarify that the transportation is voluntary. So they were just offering to buy tickets. It was really he was trying to make it a cultural wedge issue, and he made it actually a humanitarian issue. Like, thanks for the free ticket.
Like, damn.
Thanks for the free ticket.
Damn, I didn't mean for it to come out like that.
And all of this is a result of the Biden administration stopping Title 42, which is what we talked about. Trump issued an executive order, Title 42, that said that you were not allowed to apply for amnesty. Asylum. I'm calling it amnesty. Not apply for asylum at the border because of COVID. So because there was a COVID pandemic, we're not going to allow anyone to apply for asylum at the border. You got to wait in Mexico while your asylum claim is being heard, which would take years and years and years, and sit in tent city, which we've documented. And now Biden said, since we're opening up the United States of America, we have ways of testing for COVID. We have ways of vaccinating people. It's not like people are coming from the border and it's going to cause a pandemic, because we can vaccinate and we can test.
Right.
So we are going to go back to the old system, which has been the law for years and years and years, which is you can come to the border and apply for asylum, and if you pass a credible fear interview, you can enter the United States and wait for your asylum claim in the United States to be heard, rather than sit in tent city on the border in Mexico. So, of course, the Republicans, they sued the Biden administration.
Right.
And the case is now going to be heard in the Supreme Court. Indiana has just joined Texas in suing the Biden administration. They wrote, the Attorney General of Indiana said, as I witnessed firsthand on behalf of all the Hoosiers, Hoosiers are people who live in Indiana, for those who don't know, we pay an enormous price for the Biden administration's complete disregard of their duties at the southern border. No one is above the law in America, and we are simply insisting that the Biden administration follow the law. They are following the law.
Right.
It's been the law for 30, 40 years, which is you're going to come to the border, apply for asylum, pass a credible fear interview, come into the United States and wait for your asylum interview in the United States. That's basically what the Biden administration is doing. And of course, all of these lawsuits are a result of what? They're suing the Biden administration for not following the rules to eliminate a rule.
Because they don't like
that rule. They don't like that rule. And here's some good news, at least for humanitarianism, because that's what immigration's about. It's about being humanitarian as a society here in the United States. I mean, really, if you think about it, I mean, the two reasons why there's immigration, economic prosperity and humanitarianism, has nothing to do with culture wars. But at least the Biden administration, they have provided temporary protected status to anybody from Cameroon living in the United States as of April 14th, 2022.
Oh, wow.
Yes, one of the countries that Donald Trump had called shitholes, thank God now gets temporary protected status.
Nice.
Quite a turnaround from several years ago. Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas said the United States recognizes the ongoing armed conflict in Cameroon, and we will provide temporary protection to those in need. Cameroonian nationals currently residing in the United States who cannot safely return due to the extreme violence perpetrated by government forces and armed separatists and a rise in attacks by Boko Haram, that's a terrorist organization, will be able to remain and work in the United States until conditions in their home country improve.
That's good.
So people from Cameroon, as of April 14th, 2022, what do you got to prove? You got to prove that you are a national of Cameroon and you were physically here on April 14th, 2022 and haven't left the country. You can apply for temporary protected status. You get work permission. You even get advanced parole travel permission if you need to travel outside the United States and return. It's good for 18 months. And generally, when you get temporary protected status, it goes on and on and on for a very, very long period of time. So that's good news for Cameroon.
That's really good.
And the Biden administration, they had announced previously temporary protected status for Ukrainians because of the war going on in Ukraine. They said any Ukrainian who was living in the United States as of March 1st also can get temporary protected status. And yesterday, they just increased that date from March 1st to April 11th, 2022. So any Ukrainian who is in the United States as of April 11th, 2022 can now apply for temporary protected status. The Biden administration also said they're going to allow 100,000 Ukrainians in as refugees. To be a refugee from the Ukraine, you need to be sponsored by a friend or family member. It doesn't necessarily have to be a close relative, just somebody to sponsor you. So you have to know somebody in the United States as a Ukrainian to get their refugee status. But the actual rules and regulations of how the Ukrainians are going to process and what they're going to do, that has not come out yet. So we'll see what goes on with that. And what do you think of this subway shooting? Did it rattle you?
Man.
Did that rattle you, that subway shooting?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just because, if you've taken the train, you have come across, people who actually, acted like the subway shooter, like the stuff that they said he was mumbling,
Right.
He was just sitting by himself. Like I actually saw that today coming here, and the train was empty, and he had a golf club, and he was smoking a Black and Mild. So I got off the train.
There are too many people, and it's not just in New York City. And I don't have an answer for it. Okay, I think we have a mental health crisis here in the United States of America. Definitely. And I'm not saying all homelessness is due to mental health issues. I'm not saying that. It's economic issues. There's drug addiction as part of it. Yeah. There's a lot that goes into it. But just my own opinion is that it seems like a good percentage have mental health issues. I'm not saying all. A lot of people just down on their luck. Nowhere to go. Okay, but this is a man who obviously had some mental health issues. And he wasn't even homeless. He was not a homeless man. He was living somewhere. It's just, there's a lot of mental health issues. Yes. And the man with the golf club, okay, just allow that person to go through. I'm not saying arrest them. I don't know what the answer is.
He was smoking on the train.
I don't know.
Talking to himself with the
I
golf
don't
club.
know what the answer is. I was walking
The
back.
answer is the cops that are on the platform that don't really do anything need to be going through the trains and making sure that our safety.
But what are they supposed to do if they see a man
do their job and take him off?
You want that man arrested?
He's not supposed to smoke on the train.
Okay.
So and then now we have to talk about going to jail and what happens when you're arrested.
What happens when
where he needs to be put.
And just playing devil's advocate. What happens? You're a cop and saying, okay, you want me to now go arrest this guy for smoking weed, and then he doesn't want to be arrested. So now we have to take him down, and now all of a sudden there's video of cops abusing somebody.
That's the hard part about being a cop.
You understand what I'm saying?
That's the hard part about
I'm playing devil's advocate.
I understand that, but it is against the law. You cannot be smoking on the train. So you want the law enforced. Yes, because that's what law is supposed to be there for. Now, their training should make sure that they wouldn't do anything that they're not supposed to do. That's on them. But they have to take them in. Like, it's not fair to all the people, because look, this could have happened. We don't know who's capable of doing what, so we can't just be scared and say, "Oh, let them do them and let them just smoke."
But you walk down the street, you see a lot of mentally ill people walking down the street every day.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. It could be anybody.
It could be anybody and anywhere, right?
That's
you
the
don't
scary
know.
thing.
You don't know. So meanwhile, 29 people were injured.
That's crazy.
And 2 immigrants are being hailed.
Yeah, I saw the video.
For helping to capture him. One was apparently what happened was after there was a manhunt. Okay, nobody.
He was chilling.
He was chilling at McDonald's. Hanging out at McDonald's. He called the cops and said, "Here I am. I'm the guy you're looking for." And by the time the cops showed up to McDonald's, he was gone. But this one gentleman by the name of Francisco Pueblo, he's 46 years old. He came to New York from East Central Mexican state of Puebla when he was about 14 years old. He settled down in Park Slope, one of 8 children. He made the trip to the United States without any family when he was 14 years old. He pointed out to the cops, this is where he went, this is where he is, and showed the cops where he was because he was following him. And him and another guy by the name of Sakaria Rodwin Tahan, he's known as Zach. He was born in the United States, but left the United States for Syria when he was a baby, grew up in Syria, and only returned to the United States after he was living in Aleppo that just got annihilated by the Syrian government, kind of like how Mariupol is right now in Ukraine, had to return to the United States for his own safety. He also pointed out to the cops where this guy was.
Did they get their $50,000? Wasn't that something they said? Like they get? Oh,
yeah, five people are splitting the 50. 5 people are splitting the 50,000 people.
Good.
The $50,000.
Yeah, they could have saved other people's lives. You never know what he was capable of doing.
And yesterday, what do you think of this one? Because you're a flyer.
Oh yeah.
Yesterday, the federal government said passengers traveling on airplanes now can have a choice of going maskless or not, because the regulation by the Centers for Disease Control requiring masks on planes and trains and airports was struck down by a federal judge. Why, Jonathan? You could be a lawyer. Anyone could be a lawyer now with executive orders and regulations. Why was this regulation shot down? Because the federal judge says the U.S. government did not follow its own rulemaking procedures to continue mask wearing on planes and trains and airplanes.
Yeah.
Trains and planes and airplanes are the same thing. Planes and airplanes. Yeah, airports.
Yes.
It's crazy. Every time, it's always the same thing, right?
It's always the same thing. Y'all just follow the rules. Are you going to wear masks on the plane?
I'm not sure.
I don't know, something about planes, the fact that we're all sharing the same air for so long.
I think I probably will.
Yeah.
I think I probably will. I'm not 100% sure, but I think I probably will.
I more than likely will.
Yeah.
I'm going to be flying for a while, like in a couple of weeks, so I'm definitely probably going to
United, American, Delta, Southwest all said masks are optional now.
Wow.
And Biden administration, right when we came on the air, said they're going to appeal. So that's that. You ready for some tea?
Absolutely.
Let's do it. We have some tea?
What kind do we have?
I don't know. What do we got?
We are back.
Hello, J Rhymes.
Oh.
How are you?
Not too bad.
What do we have?
Bubble tea with milk.
This is new.
Bubble tea.
Who makes the tea for us? Who does that? Is that you?
This one's actually from Bubble Tea.
This is from Bubble Tea.
Ooh.
So you went out and bought like high-end.
Well, you can give me a little bit
fancy
more. I
tea.
like bubble tea with milk.
There you go.
Well,
You want a little more, sir?
No, you have to pick it up because my arm. I'm sorry.
I could take mine.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Go.
I have to drink it like
They're
this.
right here.
Thank you.
Bubble tea.
Yes.
Is this a place?
Ooh,
Bubble
I like
tea is a
it.
place on Fulton Street.
Ooh,
It's tea.
It's just regular tea? Bubble
tea. I'm drinking it like
This
this
is
because
really good.
I'm drinking it like this because I have a bad arm. So
I like
I
this.
just want you to know.
I like this a lot.
I have a lot more class than to drink tea like this.
I like this a lot.
Ooh,
This is nice, creamy.
it's very good.
Yes.
Oh
This
wow.
might be my fave.
Unless this came from a fancy store. This wasn't made. This wasn't made in the.
I'll
this
take
wasn't
more.
made. This wasn't made in the control room.
Right.
Right. This is not control room
It's
tea.
got boba in it too?
This is not control room tea.
I love it. You guys, I'm about to take some of the boba out.
Oh wow, this is very good. All right, so
My favorite.
so did you see? What do you think of Elon Musk trying to take over Twitter?
I think Elon Musk is just so rich, he doesn't know what to do with his money.
I'll give you my opinion, Jonathan.
Go ahead.
If there was ever a story we ever talked about where billionaires have too much money and need to be taxed a little bit, this is
man,
it.
He is.
Okay, this is now the poster story
Yeah,
for why
exactly.
nobody should feel bad if a
Right.
billionaire gets taxed 20% of his total assets. Because that's what they want. That's what Biden administration wants to do. Tax 20% of billionaires' total assets. This wouldn't put a dent in Elon Musk's. So he's not, instead of worth 300 million, he's now worth 220 million, whatever.
You mean billion?
Billion. 300 billion, now we're 220. What does that mean to him? Nothing. He's buying Twitter as if he's going to buy the local candy store.
That's crazy for
it's like
$43
it's like you know, it's like
billion.
somebody else saying, you know what, I'm going to buy the local, I don't know, the local store.
Yeah.
Right, whatever store. I'm going to buy the local dry cleaner. I'm going to buy a local restaurant. You know, someone goes, oh my God, I'm going to go make an investment. I'm going to go buy this restaurant. You know, it's a lot of money, but I could afford it.
Yeah.
You know, somebody who does well. This guy's like, I'm going to buy a $43 billion Twitter company just because I want to say what I want to say.
Yeah.
Too bad on everyone else. And he's making it now a whole crusade about free speech. It's not about free speech. It's about the fact that Elon Musk doesn't feel he has free speech. It's not about anyone else's free speech.
So what does he want to say that he can't say?
He wants to say things that he wants total
That's dumb.
free for all on Twitter.
That's dumb.
And I have to tell you something. You know, I'm kind of like Spider-Man when it comes to this. You know what Spider-Man says? With power comes responsibility.
Yeah.
Doesn't he say that?
Yeah.
And I think with
I
power,
don't feel like he would take.
and I
anything.
think with power comes responsibility. And whoever has Twitter, and whoever controls Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp and Telegram now and Pinterest and you name it, name it. There has to be a level of responsibility.
Yeah.
Okay? There is free speech, but not unlimited free speech.
Yeah.
I'll give you the most perfect example. Okay? You can't, in the United States of America, go and say, you know what, I want to make this child pornography because we have freedom to
Right.
do whatever we want. This is freedom of speech to make child pornography. No, you don't have a right to make child pornography because free speech ends at obscenity. Free speech ends where the hurt to society is more than the gain in free speech. And here's something, you know, Twitter is a private company. They have a right to regulate anything they want. And Elon Musk wants to take it over and say, I don't want to regulate it at all.
That's crazy.
And I think that's crazy.
That's also very dangerous.
I think that's extraordinarily dangerous.
Yeah.
I think it's extraordinarily dangerous.
So I hope this isn't like, you know, something that's really on the table.
Well, it is on the table. He bought a 9.2% stake. You want to know how much money he has that he can make an offer as a joke? What do you make? It was like you made a 420 April 20th, marijuana joke about it because he made it. I think the takeover offer was $54.20. So it cost him billions and billions of dollars more just so he can make a 420 joke.
That's crazy.
That's how much money he has. That's
wild.
why I am so in favor. Of having a one-time tax, 20% of any person's assets worth more than $100 million. It will not hurt them at all, and it would give trillions of dollars into the federal government. Yeah. Why should people like Elon Musk have all of this money, pay little taxes? Donald Trump hasn't paid a tax return in 18 years. You're telling me that this is rigged? This isn't rigged?
Yes.
Of course it's rigged. So the Twitter board, they're invoking a poison pill. So what happens when you take over is Elon Musk says, I'm going to offer to buy the company for $54.20. Right now the stock $54.20 a stock per $54.20 per share of a stock, which is $45 billion, whatever it is. And the stock is now trading at $40-something. So if you own the stock at $40-something, you say, you know what? I'll sell it to Elon Musk for $54. I'm going to make $15 a share. That's how he gets it. And if he gets 50% of the outstanding shares, and a rational person would say, I'm going to make $15 a share. Right. Why not? And that's how he gets to take it over and then do whatever he wants. So what the Twitter board is doing is they're going to do what's called the poison pill. Now, I'm not a corporate attorney, but I can explain to you what it is. Poison pill is this: everybody gets killed, rather than Elon Musk taking over. So what the board does is they said they're going to issue more stock to shareholders to buy at $20 or $25 or $30, whatever they want to do it. They're going to issue stock at a very cheap rate to people who already own the stock. So now you would want to buy that stock because it's very cheap compared to what it's being traded for. Now you've diluted the stock market with more stock, which means Elon Musk now has to buy twice as many or maybe even 3 times as many shares of stock to reach the 50% level.
Wow.
It reduces everybody's value in Twitter, but they still get to run Twitter. That's why they call it the poison pill.
Gotcha.
So we'll see what happens with all of that. What do you think, by the way,
of
Elon Musk buying Twitter?
Well, I remember back in like 2020, like around March or something, where he had tweeted something about basically saying children were immune to COVID-19. So if somebody wants freedom of speech and they are throwing out just like false facts, I would be scared for our world because,
there's too many false facts as it is to begin with. There has to be a level of responsibility on all of these platforms.
I can't picture him like respecting that level of responsibility once buying it. He's literally like a kid with just a bunch of money.
I really hope he doesn't take Twitter.
It would be horrible.
I really hope that the 20% tax on billionaires goes through.
Yes.
Okay, we don't need oligarchs here in the United States. And Britney Spears, she's pregnant.
Yeah, she is.
Yes. Now, this is a few months after she got out of her conservatorship, because in the conservatorship, the conservators made her put an IUD in.
That's crazy.
It was like forced sterilization of Britney Spears.
That's crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
So finally, now that she can control her own body,
which was
wild. She couldn't even control her own body, let alone her own finances. Now that she can control her own body, she got pregnant with her boyfriend of years and years and years, what's his name? Sam Asghari, right?
Asghari.
Sam Asghari. But this time, when she was pregnant before, she was a little crazy and going out and doing crazy stuff.
Yeah, and she went through a lot of like postpartum and all that as well.
Yeah. But she's saying she's chilling out, just doing yoga, staying home.
Yeah, although she makes a lot of like weird videos and just like, you always question yourself. She looks happy with this guy. She's happy that she's got her money. Her 2 sons are grown up. Hopefully this guy is going to be able to, you know, make sure that she's good. Like, look at her 2 sons with Kevin Federline. So, I mean,
they look like Kevin Federline a little bit.
They
don't
do.
They? Yeah.
They do.
Just looking at them.
Yeah.
But everyone always he's Britney Spears is the sugar mama, and and this guy Sam Ashragi is the sugar baby, whatever. But you want to know what? That. But you want to know what? If maybe that could be one of multiple reasons why, she's with him. Of course, you want to be with somebody who has money. Who wouldn't want to be? But that, I'm sure that can't, based on their happiness and being together for 5 years, that can't be the only reason.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And, I think a lot of people are single nowadays because they have those, those kind of requirements. It's like, oh, he's got to make more money than me. You got Nicki Minaj out there that has a man that makes less than him. Britney Spears is another example. There's so many other people that have husbands or boyfriends that make less than them. You can't base it off that. She's happy, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. I'll tell you, in a BBC Persian interview conducted before Britney announced her pregnancy, Ashkari said he believes fiancée Britney Spears' 3rd pregnancy should have happened 3 years ago. He said when you're in a relationship with someone that you're truly in love with, you want to recreate, and this is something that I would want to do with her.
There you go.
So yeah,
I'm happy for that.
There's lots of reasons why you're with somebody.
Right.
Obviously, finances is important, but it's not the only.
She has enough money to take care of them. That's all that matters.
Right. And the other pregnancy, Rihanna.
Yes.
Right. You said Rihanna's the one woman you would want, right?
Yes.
Still.
Pregnant and all.
So are you jealous of A$AP Rocky?
No.
You're happy for them.
I'm happy for them.
You're happy for them.
I'm happy. She's happy too. So that's you got to be happy for these people, man. You got to be happy for them.
It's her first baby.
Yeah.
And she says, when I found out that I was pregnant, I thought to myself, there's no way I'm gonna go shopping in maternity aisle. It's too much fun to get dressed up. I'm not gonna let that part disappear because my body is changing. So she's just wearing regular clothes.
She is.
She's got but maternity dresses is also just because regular clothes sometimes just doesn't fit over your belly. Mm-hmm. So what is she going to do? How many months is she now?
I don't know, but she's big. She's big. But my thing is, and I actually wanted to ask the audience and the squad as well, with being pregnant, there's always that whole image that a lot of people, the conservative image that a lot of people usually go through or go by. But what I like about her is she's like, nah, who made that rule? And she's kind of out there representing for people who just want to flaunt what they got. And she personally said, she was like, my body is going through something it's never done before, amazing things and I'm surprised by. I can't even believe that there's a human being inside of me, and I want to show it. She's all about fashion too, so she's a trendsetter.
And I have no problem with it. The only issue I have is that it's hard as a average person to recreate what Rihanna's doing as a pregnant woman. She has a fashion stylist. The fashion stylist on a week-by-week basis is redesigning, remeasuring,
Absolutely.
letting out seams, bringing in seams. The average person doesn't have this that can go and be and dress like Rihanna pregnant. That's my only negative about this is that maybe, it's great that she says all of this, but maybe she's giving too many expectations to people who can't recreate it.
Then that's the issue. The issue is you should never recreate anything. You should never want to be someone else. You can be like someone else. So I think I'm looking at the positive where she's telling women, don't feel ashamed that your body is going through these changes. Don't feel ashamed that you're getting stretch marks or your nose is widening. I accept it and I love it, and I want you women to be out there doing the same thing. You ain't got to be in Louis Vuitton or anything like that, but you can go out there and feel more confident. And I think that's what she's giving.
Okay, I buy that.
Yeah.
And by the way, she said she's not scared about breastfeeding. She's most scared about postpartum depression.
Yeah, that's scary. It's a scary thing.
That happens to a lot of women.
Happens to a lot. Especially with how busy she is, that's a scary thing.
Yes.
So that's good that
And by the way, she's on the cover of Vogue.
Looking amazing.
Pregnant and all, right?
Looking amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's like her 34th appearance on
Vogue.
Vogue.
Is that a
something
record?
crazy.
Is that a record?
I don't know, but she's been on many times. But this is
Oh baby.
Yeah, oh baby. It's a beautiful picture.
All right, so that is our tea for the day.
Yes.
And
With
of
great
course,
tea.
I don't have my. Oh, here it is. Here we are. Now I got it. It's TikTok time. In this edition of TikTok time, I answer questions about filing for a spouse and siblings and applying for a visitor's visa. Let's watch. You're already married, so you can't do a fiancé visa anymore. But after the I-130 is filed, your husband can file a K-3 petition, which is to bring you to the United States to wait on your green card, and that could make things go faster. Permanent resident cannot file for their brother or sister. Only a United States citizen can file for a brother or sister to get a green card. Having a return plane ticket is good evidence that you intend to leave the United States at the conclusion of your visit, which is one of the things you need to prove to get the visitor's visa. Having a full itinerary is another good evidence of your intention of leaving. You have a paid hotel room and it's paid for 2 weeks, it's paid for 3 weeks, whatever it may be. You have an itinerary and you're leaving the United States. So that would all be good evidence of your intention of leaving, which is what you need to be able to prove to get your visitor's visa. Of course, you always run the risk that you get turned down for your visitor's visa, and now you have a paid plane ticket or a paid itinerary that you may or may not be able to get your money back. But that, unfortunately, is the risk you take. All right, Yo-Yo, it's dinner time. You know what that is. Meat and potatoes. Let's do it, Ian.
Potatoes.
Meat and potatoes. All right, Samuel, you're on. What can I do to help you?
Hi, I'm calling on behalf of Samuel.
Okay.
I'm his cousin, Sarah. So the issue is that last year, September, he came through the border.
What is your relationship to Samuel? Who are you to Samuel?
I'm his cousin.
Cousin, okay. And where's
So
Samuel from?
I'm from Haiti.
Okay.
He came through the border in September, but he came from Chile through the border.
From Chile?
And
How did you
then-
get from Chile through the border? He had made it all the way up South America.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
So he came through the border and he was detained for 4 months. And then December, the judge signed his removal to go back, but January they released him in the U.S. on order of supervision.
Okay.
As of now, he doesn't have a status in the
He
country.
did not apply for asylum?
So when he was in the detention center, he talked to the ICE officer, and they denied his
Credible
asylum.
fear. They denied his
Correct.
credible fear. Okay.
Right.
And was he paroled? I assume he was paroled into the United States, or he was running across the border and then just kind of got caught somewhere?
I mean, when he was on the border, he presented himself to the border patrols.
All right. Does he have? Okay, so he presented himself. So that means he was paroled into the United States. It wasn't like he was caught running across the border or anything.
Right.
Okay. So being paroled into the United States and having an order of removal, if he were to fall in love and marry a U.S. citizen, I'm not saying go do a business marriage, but if he were to fall in love with a U.S. citizen, he would still be eligible to adjust his status with a waiver. We may want to look and speak to him about his asylum claim. Perhaps we want to try to make a motion to reopen or refile a new one now. It's still within 1 year of his entry into the United States of America. So there are things we can look at to do, but we would need to speak with Samuel directly.
Yeah, he is here, and he do have a special woman in his life, but he wasn't too sure how that would go about.
Well, if he was
with the
paroled
marriage.
into the United States and he has this special woman in his life and they're in love and it's a bona fide marriage and they get married, he would file his adjustment and a waiver directly with immigration.
All right, so just fighting that denied of
Despite
finding
that, correct. Because
Okay.
he is considered an arriving alien, which is different than somebody who is in the United States and got ordered deported. He's still considered at the border waiting to come in. He was paroled into the United States of America. And what the law says for adjustment is if you were admitted or paroled into the United States, you are eligible to adjust your status. And because he was denied his admission and thereafter paroled, and here he is, there is case law that says he's allowed to adjust his status and file a waiver for the prior order of removal directly with USCIS.
Okay. So do you think, and then in this point, while he's figuring that out, is it possible for him to work in the state?
If he files his adjustment, he would get a work permit.
Do work permit, do at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hold on one second. Let's go to Kev in Brooklyn.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hi, Kev.
All right, I got a question, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so in October 2019, I got married to a U.S. citizen, right? And in April of 2021, my case was adjudicated before an immigration judge, which is
Why were you before a judge? Why were you before a judge?
Because I was in detention.
Why were you in detention?
Because I was charged for DV.
Domestic violence. Is this with the same person you married to or a different person?
No, it was an accusation. It was a false accusation.
Was this an accusation by the person you were married to or a different human being?
No, different person.
Okay. And when you said it was false accusation, you were not found criminally guilty of anything?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
But because you were arrested for domestic violence and the criminal case was ultimately dropped against you, you were still in detention, they handed you over to immigration.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Because yes.
Understood.
So
and how did
yes.
you come to the United States, Kev?
Visa.
Okay. And where you from, Jamaica?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So now you're before the immigration judge, you're married. What happened?
Yeah, so in 2021 of April, the immigration judge granted me my green card.
Great.
Right? So when I get my green card, it was a 10-year green card instead of a conditional one.
Because you were married for more than 2 years at the moment the judge granted the green card.
Because I was thinking that because it was October of 2019.
When did you get married?
October 2019.
And when was the judge grant the green card?
April 2021.
No, that was an error by immigration because you got granted your green card within a year and a half of marriage. You should have had a 2-year green card.
Okay.
So
even though it
says 10 years,
immigration judge.
Even though it's the immigration judge, even though it says 10 years, that's basically a typographical error by immigration. So what's going to happen is when you go to renew your green card in 10 years, or if you go to file for your citizenship, it's going to be caught. And then you're going to end up back in deportation again because the government's going to say you never removed the conditions of your permanent residence. And you're going to say, well, how would I remove the conditions of my permanent residence? You gave me a 10-year green card. And the government's going to say, too bad, you're in deportation. Go hire a lawyer to figure it out. So what I would suggest we do is this. Okay, let's just confirm all the dates. What I would do is I would like to request, if I was your lawyer, I would request your immigration records and just confirm the date in which the judge granted the green card, confirm the date of your marriage, and then if immigration did issue the green card in error, return the 10-year green card, request a 2-year green card so it's done correctly, and then go to remove the conditions. It'll save you a big headache in the future.
Okay,
I know you don't like to hear that, but that's really what you should do.
Okay, because I was thinking that when the 2 years gonna end, I was gonna send it in the 90 days before.
You can do that too. You can do that as well, and say this card was issued in error, and do it at that point as well. But I would still like to get your records to just confirm that all the information that you believe is correct is still correct.
Okay.
All right, but yes, you can do it that way too. Hold on.
Oh.
Let's go to Ignatius in Brooklyn.
Yeah, hi, Brad.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, fine. Good evening. Yeah, I'm calling. I currently have a VAWA petition that is ongoing, and I have a prima facie already.
Right.
And but I had a final order of deportation, 2014, due to absentia deportation. I was deported in absentia. So I had a lawyer that tried to renew it, but he didn't actually do it well. It was denied. But I don't have a criminal record, no criminal record. So what I'm actually
you only have one motion to reopen. You've already used it up. You have a VAWA case. If your VAWA is approved, ultimately they won't deport you. I would still try to make another motion to reopen anyway, even based on the in absentia. Why would the in absentia have been denied unless you purposely didn't show up to immigration court? But I would need to see your records and see what this lawyer wrote, because you're really only allowed one motion, perhaps a second motion for ineffective assistance of counsel if this lawyer did a really bad job, perhaps a joint motion once your VAWA case is approved, perhaps a motion for prosecutorial discretion, but all of that would require the judge to overlook the one motion rule. But okay. I would need to see your records to figure out which way to go. Hold on one second. Clem in Marietta, Georgia.
Yes.
Hi, Clem.
Good morning. Good evening, Brad.
Good evening.
Yes. My name is Curtis. I have a friend that was arrested in 2018 for fraud. He went to fake ID to collect money, and he was arrested and put in ICE custody. And thereafter,
Go ahead, Clem. I'm listening.
And thereafter, the wife, the American wife, I-130 thing because he was still in ICE custody. Then for there, he was bonded out. While he was
Clem, what's your question? This is going on way too long, and there's a lot of noise in the background. What's your question?
While he was bonded out in 2018, up to now, the I-130 was not approved. But sometimes in 2021, the I-130 was denied. But we don't see it. The guy did not know any reason why the I-130 was denied. So he wrote immigration why he was denied. The letter told him that the address he used, they sent the letter to the address that he did not respond. The request for evidence.
They sent a notice for an interview and he didn't show up. What is your question, Clem?
Sure.
Clem, tell me your question.
Okay. Then the question is it possible for the new policy to be waived based on the fact that this person is married?
No, Clem, this man's in deportation. In order to avoid deportation and get a green card, he needs an approved I-130 visa petition. If they scheduled an interview, he didn't show up, you need to file a new one quickly, a new I-130, before he gets scheduled for a final hearing before a judge and gets ordered deported. That's what needs to happen. Hold on one second. Victor in Dallas.
Yeah, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Very fine. So I came into the US.
Victor, speak up.
Okay.
Okay. What's your question?
I came into the US in December 2021, 14th of December. But I came in on an F1 visa.
Where you
then
from?
I got COVID.
Where you from?
Yeah. Then I got COVID-19.
Where you from?
I'm from Nigeria.
Okay, you got COVID. You're on a student visa from Nigeria. Got COVID. What happened?
Yeah. Then I got tested for COVID. Then I wasn't able to attend school I told my school, but they still terminated my service.
How long were you suffering for COVID that you couldn't go to school, especially when school's online?
No. So because it's an F1 visa, it has to be all classes are in person.
I understand that, but COVID, unless you were hospitalized for months and months and months and months, COVID's a 2-week illness.
I think I was sick for about 3 weeks, thereabouts.
All right, so you go back to class after.
So I did tell my school that I told them everything, but they still terminated my service. So now I found a new school, and
so you need to reinstate your status and hope the excuse of you had COVID flies with immigration. As long as you have a valid excuse for falling out of status, you try to reinstate your status within 6 months. You have a new I-20. You file for reinstatement.
So what's the guarantee that?
There is no guarantee. The guarantee is I just told you what to do, and if immigration accepts your excuse for falling out of status, I don't think having COVID, unless you are hospitalized, is a good excuse for not finishing school up, because it's a 2-3 week illness. 2 weeks probably at most. So unless you are hospitalized, I don't understand why you couldn't finish school. So I don't think that's a very good excuse. But
so it's not I couldn't finish. I just came in to start. I came in to start in January, but because I got COVID and I was tested, like I
understand that, but schools, my kids go to university. Nobody's a dummy here. Every kid who goes to university, if they come with COVID, the schools give them the option of going online until the COVID's over. Every school does it. I never heard what you're saying unless you were hospitalized. But what do I know? Right. Hold on, okay? You need a good excuse. I don't like your excuse, but you like your excuse, we'll try it. Hold on.
Okay, so which excuse do you think I should go with?
The truth! I can't make stuff up for you.
Yeah.
What's the truth?
And that's what I'm trying.
I'm telling you, geez, Louise, what excuse should I come up with?
That's not the question to ask.
Jose in Houston.
Yeah, I got a question for you.
How are you?
Good, pretty good. I'm removing my resident condition, I-751, and I made inquiry because I was outside normal processing time. So I got an email from USCIS. They review and approve your application according to your USCIS record. The case was approved on March 23rd, 2022. An approval notice have been mailed.
Okay, so what? All right, you don't have to read it to me. What's your question?
I don't receive anything to this time.
Then you're talking about you didn't receive your green card?
No, not the green card, and I never received the approval letter.
Okay, well, how long ago was this?
March 23rd.
So it was like not even 3 weeks ago.
It's something like
3
about
weeks
3
ago.
weeks, almost 4 weeks.
Okay. Give it 8 weeks for something to come in the mail. If in 8 weeks nothing comes in the mail, by the way, you can call the 1-800 number and see if they manufactured your card or not. They'll tell you that.
I already did it, and they never sent nothing to me.
What do they say when you call them?
And nothing is outdated.
Well, that's what I'm telling you.
Know.
That's what I'm telling you. Wait another 4-6 weeks. Give them 8 weeks. Nothing's outdated yet. It's only been 3 weeks. Immigration's very slow these days. So I said, wait 8 weeks. I said, but if you want, you can call, and they're telling you the same thing. Wait. So wait. See what happens. All right? Call me back in 8 weeks if you don't hear anything. Let's go back to Damien in Bluffton, South Carolina.
Yes, Brad. How are you doing
today?
Good.
How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm currently in the process of putting my paperwork, but my wife, she filed head of the household. You think that will be an issue going in?
If you want to prove a bona fide marriage, it's an issue, sure. You have to have a joint tax return. The reason why you have to have a joint tax return is to prove a bona fide marriage, you have to prove that you have a financial relationship together. When your wife checks off head of household, she's saying she has no financial relationship with you to the IRS.
For sure.
That's my answer. Amended.
Thank you.
Let's go to Jojo in Wisconsin.
Hello.
Jojo.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, how are you?
Okay, I'm good. Thank you so much for taking my call.
My pleasure.
I have a friend. I found you on TikTok, and he asked me to ask this question.
Okay.
So he wants to know, he had a J1 visa, and he hasn't overstayed his time as yet. And his mom is a green card holder. Is it possible for him to do an adjustment of status?
No, because I assume he's over 21.
Oh, yes, he's over 21.
Yeah. So if he's over 21 and single, his mother would be filing an F2B petition for him, which would be about a 5-year wait, 7-year wait. You can only file an adjustment application in legal status if your priority date would be current. And the only priority date that would be current would be an employment sponsorship or an F2A sponsorship. At the moment, the F2A sponsorship meaning you are unmarried, under 21, child of a permanent resident, or you are a spouse of a permanent resident. But not an over 21 F2B, you can't adjust.
Okay, but if he fell out of status while on his J1, it's the same thing? Or
if he fell out of status, then he would never be able to adjust his status here in the United States unless he married a U.S. citizen. He would ultimately, if his mother filed for him, have to do a provisional waiver, go home and come back. Sounds like he needs a consultation.
Let him know that. And can I just ask you another question quickly? If you have a visitor's visa and you went away and you worked on your visitor's visa and you have to renew your visa, would the office, you use your Social Security because you had a Social Security and you filed taxes, would the visa officer know that you file taxes?
Well, the officer wouldn't know that you file tax returns, but if you worked on a visitor's visa, you violate your visitor's visa, they'll never give it to you again.
Well, I know that, but would they know that?
You're asking me if you go in and commit fraud and say, I never worked when you did, will they know that? My answer is don't commit fraud.
Okay, thank you. That's the only question.
All right, I can't answer fraud questions. Justin in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, Brad. How are you doing?
Good.
Yeah, Brad, I have two questions, though. I filed for my daughter under my permanent resident status. Then she got approved with the F-24. Then later, after some couple of months, I became a U.S. citizen.
Right.
So then I had to write the NVC, with the receipt, the I-797.
Yep.
With a copy of my...
Yes, what is your question? I understand you upgraded the case.
Yeah, I've already upgraded, and it's been a couple of months. So do I have to wait longer again? Because I did September.
What's the priority date for your daughter?
It's 007. That's January 7, 2021.
And your daughter's over 21.
Yes, she turned 21.
Yeah, you're gonna wait. She turned 21 after you became a citizen.
Yes.
Well, I mean, before you became a citizen, she was 21.
No, I became a citizen, then she turned 21.
Oh, so you became a citizen before she turned 21 years old?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so then she's an immediate relative under the Child Status Protection Act. When did you notify the National Visa Center that you became a citizen? How long ago?
I did that after I became a citizen a couple of months. When I had already received.
When was that?
I can remember.
2 months ago, 6 months ago, 2 years ago?
Yeah, I did that 6 months ago.
And you still not heard anything? I would definitely follow up. Your daughter's immediately eligible for a green card, and if it's 6 months, then either get a lawyer to follow up or you follow up. Somebody's got to follow up with the National Visa Center.
Yeah, so if she was above the 21 years.
If she was over 21 when you became a citizen, then she's waiting 5 to 7 more years.
Okay, then is there any way I can do like a non-immigrant visa where she can come like she wants to visit?
You can do whatever you want, but they're not going to give it to her if she has a pending petition for a green card.
Okay. Then my second question. Thank you for that answer. My second question is, I filed for my wife. She's still in Cameroon, and I want to bring her back. I just got the receipt of. They gave me a receipt of the I-130. Like they just received it. Can I use it to file?
You can use it to try to expedite because of the situation in Cameroon.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you
All
very
right. Good
much.
luck.
Yeah.
Let's go to Kay in Lexington, Kentucky.
Hi, Brad. How you doing?
How are you?
I'm good. Hey, Brad, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Two questions, one for myself and one for a friend. Hey, I'm an arriving alien, and then my asylum was terminated 2 months ago. I filed for my I-130 and I-485, and I haven't heard from them. It's now up to 510 days now, and I haven't heard from them. What? Yes, I do. I have work permit.
Okay, so just wait it out. They have to, because they got to get your file from EOIR, the judge, so it takes a little longer.
Oh, okay.
All right.
And then second question for your friend, please. A friend has a voluntary departure, and then he departed from the state, and then now he lives in Canada. But he was married before he departed, and now he can't find his wife anywhere, and then he want to do a divorce. Can he do a divorce in Canada, or can he has to do it here?
As long as he has, I don't know what the requirements are to do a divorce. There's always residence requirements in any jurisdiction to do a divorce. So, for example, in the state of New York, if the marriage didn't happen in the state of New York, you got to be living in New York State for 2 years before you do a divorce. What is the residence requirements in the particular jurisdiction he is in Canada? He's got to ask a local Canadian lawyer.
Oh, okay. All right.
But if he has the residence requirements, the answer is, he has the residence requirements, the answer is yes, do it in Canada.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay. Let's go to Esther in Westfield, New Jersey. Esther.
Oh, hello, Brad. Good evening.
Good
Thanks
evening. How are you?
Good. Yeah, I have two questions. I filed for adjustment of status by marriage in December 2019. I went for interview in May last year. It's almost a year now. I haven't heard from them. But what happened at the interview that the guy questioned was that he said the divorce certificate, he checked it up, he didn't see it. I don't know where they checked that up, from Africa, Nigeria.
Well,
but I know
every person from Nigeria, if you've been listening to my show, every last divorce, they question. I don't know whether your divorce is good or not, but I can tell you that's why you haven't heard back, because they literally have a man from USCIS in the local courts in Nigeria checking on the validity of divorces.
Yeah, because mine is for real, because even my ex, he's married here again. And I'm sure he used the same thing to get married here.
Okay, so
what do I do?
Well, you can, what I would do is, one, verify your divorce with the local Nigerian consulate. Make sure for a fact it's real. And if your case is pending more than a year, after you verified that your divorce is real, let's either file a mandamus or threaten a mandamus against USCIS to give you a green card. They can't hold your case forever. And probably what would happen is they'd schedule you for a new interview, and we show up and say, here, this divorce is real. There's nothing to investigate.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. That's one. Then two, for someone, because I think there's a new, should I say, recent policy about those who are not for deportation or something like that they want to waive some things, something like that.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, for those who are, what do you call them?
I don't know what you're talking about.
For those who are they have been mandated to be deported, maybe under ICE deportation. There's a recent policy talking about them going to waive some of these cases of those who are supposed to be deported. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know.
What is the point of your question?
Yeah. So what's the criteria for?
I don't know what you're talking about. Come back to me with exactly what you're talking about, and I'll be happy to answer.
Okay, good. Then lastly, please, for somebody who applied for citizenship since June last year and he hasn't heard from them, Is it too late, or should we remind them, or what do we do?
Remind them, I guess. How long has his citizenship been pending?
June 2021.
It's not even a year yet.
No.
Wait a year and then call me back about that.
All right. Thank you very much.
Let's go to KP in Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Hey, Brad, how are you doing?
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you so much. I had a quick question about our application. We have applied for a marriage-based green card in January 2021, and we got married in March 2020. And I'm adjusting status from F1. So I basically came to US in 2016, and I graduated from my program in 2018. But I went back for my second master's in 2019. And since then, I had maintained my F1 status. So my service was active until December 2021. And we had interview in October 2021 for our application. And we hadn't heard anything up until now. So we reached out to our congressman, and they sent us an RFE. And RFE is requesting my documentation for compliance with F1 for the second master's, so the school where I was in.
You're married to a resident or a citizen?
A citizen.
It doesn't matter whether you complied or not.
Correct. So yeah, that's the question I had as well.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just reply to it. Okay, with whatever the truth is, whether you complied or not, doesn't matter. You violated your status, you're still eligible to adjust your status. So just listen to me. Just reply to it. Wait 120 days. If you don't have a decision in your favor, call me back on this show, and I would probably suggest a mandamus at that point.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Brad. I really appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Let's go to Godfrey in Stanton, California.
Hi, Brad. Thanks for picking my call.
How are
you? I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Last time I called, I think a week back, I called about my I-130 and 485 that was filed by my wife, and I had not yet received the notice.
Godfrey, just where are you? You sound like you're like a wave just crashed on you.
Oh, sorry. Let me do something here.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Much better. Okay. So your question is what?
Yes, my question is that I was petitioned the I-130 and 485, and the submission was in early March. I haven't received the receipt notice, but I received an invitation for asylum interview, which is still pending, and I had to reschedule. I applied to reschedule, and they rescheduled. But now they have called me again for another interview.
Just withdraw your asylum. As long as you're in a good marriage, withdraw your asylum and get your green card through marriage.
Okay, before I get the receipt?
You have a receipt. How long ago did you file the adjustment?
I filed early March this year, but I haven't received the receipt notice.
Well, you just withdraw it anyway, because as long as you know you're in a valid marriage, you'll get a receipt, and if you screwed it up, you'll just refile again.
All right.
All right?
Thank you.
Okay. Let's go to Deja in Queens. Deja.
Hi, how are you? I'm good, thank you. So I'm a citizen. I live in New York, and I just want to know the process, if it's possible. Last November and December, I buried my mom and my dad in Jamaica suddenly.
I'm sorry.
I have a 19-year-old brother back home. Is there a way that I can get him here with me before he reaches 21?
Does he have a visitor's visa?
No, he has never traveled.
I would first start trying to get a visitor's visa for him. There's no brother, sister petition. You can't do an adoption now. Try to get a visitor's visa. I would start with a visitor's visa or a student visa. I'd go that route first and try and keep your fingers crossed.
All right. Thank you very much. All right.
And by the way, if you didn't get your immigration questions asked and answered, you could always follow me on Instagram. You follow me on Instagram at Real Brad Bernstein. You could drop me a DM. I'll be happy to answer your immigration questions as best as I can. at Real Brad Bernstein on Instagram. You can also follow us at Brad Show Live on Instagram. You can't handle 2 hours of us, but you can handle 30 seconds of us. Follow us on Instagram at Brad Show Live. And of course, you can follow our fastest growing social media platform, TikTok, at Brad Show Live. You can leave your question in the comment section, in the question and answer section. And if you're lucky enough for me to see the comment, see the question, I may very well answer it personalized directly to you for the rest of the world to see as well. And Jonathan.
Yep, you guys can follow me at Jonathan Elias TV on Instagram.
And later in the show, I will be speaking with National Geographic explorer Tara Roberts, who is the host and executive producer of the 6-part podcast Into the Depths, which follows black divers and marine archaeologists as they search for buried slave trade, shipwrecks in order to preserve the history of the African diaspora.
All right, squad, it is another edition of Brad Show Live Pop Quiz. We're going to test your knowledge on this immigration legal term. So I want you guys to give your answers in the comments. Then we're going to come back and see who gets it right.
If you decide to sue the government, you would file what? A, a mandamus. B, a class action case. C, an adjustment of status. D, a cancellation of removal. A writ of mandamus is a petition you or your lawyer must prepare and file with a federal district court after waiting months or even years for USCIS to finalize a pending case with no response. Now, as Brad always says, a mandamus means you are suing the government to do the right thing.
All right, so we're ready for social media check-in. Let's do it, Yo-Yo.
Let's do it. So guys, everybody in the comments, I see you guys throwing in the answers. I love that. You guys got it right. Nope. I was about to say, did anybody get it wrong? No, everybody got it right. So yes. Good job, guys.
All
right. Now let's go into this. Our Akif Varani, VIP Facebook member. After getting a green card, how long does one have to stay with their sponsor employer? If I quit right away after getting a green card, what are the consequences?
Well, the only consequences is if you apply for your citizenship, they're going to question the validity of the bona fides of your job sponsorship because a job sponsorship is a promise to hire indefinitely when you get your green card. So if you get your green card on January 2nd and you quit on January 3rd, there could be an intent that you really never intended to work there ever. So, you know, my suggestion always to my clients is that work there at least 4-6 months at your job sponsorship. It's not a job for life. Could be if you want it to be, but minimally 4 to 6 months, and that way you don't have a problem on your citizenship.
Annalie Parker, a Facebook VIP member, how much do you need to be making to not need an affidavit of support? Also, my husband is the U.S. citizen petitioning for me. I make more money than him. Can I be the affidavit, or does it have to be a U.S. citizen or permanent resident?
If you earned $1 billion last year, but you don't have 10 years of legal employment in the United States, legal, not undocumented employment, legal employment, then you still need an affidavit of support.
Another from Annalie Parker. My husband is going to petition for me. I'm in legal status. What form should we file? Is it just 485?
Same form as you'd file if you're out of status. I-45, I-130, I-765, I-131, I-864, I-138.
So Paul on Facebook, can I apply for an R1 visa while the I-130 is pending? Because F4 is waiting with 8 years left.
You can, but it'll be turned down because R1 is a non-immigrant intent. You've shown an immigrant intent with the I-130.
Barant Bar on Facebook. How long will it take if I marry my husband living here in the United States and he also wants to add his 2 boys who are living in the States? I'm an American citizen.
12 to 18 months these days.
Sarah West on Facebook. If someone overstays their holiday visa working as a home health aide, has a HHA certificate, and also pays taxes, can the person they're working for sponsor them?
Unlikely, because you've overstayed your visa and you would not be eligible to adjust your status. And if you go home, you have a 10-year bar.
NBA Boy on YouTube. I've been convicted in California with a DUI combined with an expired driver's license. I'm planning to apply for an F1 visa to complete studying. Will this prevent me from getting a new F1 visa?
Yeah.
Gold spoon up on YouTube. Can someone who was sent back to Jamaica while he was a minor, stayed out of the country for more than 20 years, get his green card back?
No, because you've abandoned your residence. Now, when you get sent home as a minor, you can't abandon your residence as a minor because you can't have the intent of where you're going to live. It's up to your parents. But when you turn 18 and you become an adult, that's when you have to assert your rights to come back and live in the United States. So if you didn't assert your rights and you're now 28, 30, 35 years old, whatever it is, and now you say, oh, I woke up one day and say, now I want to come back and live in the United States. Well, what have you been doing for the last 15 years? So it's a little late. You've abandoned your residence.
Doula Business on Facebook. I filed for my daughter under the permanent resident status, then got approved as an F24 and became a naturalized citizen. I've written to the NVC with a copy of my naturalization certificate, I-795 form, and a copy of the USCIS approval letter from September 2021 to update my daughter's status from F24 to immediate relative, but I haven't gotten a response. She's now 21 years old. Can I file for a non-immigrant K4 visa, and how long will I wait for my U.S. status to be upgraded regarding her status at NVC?
There's no K4 for daughter unless it's associated with a marriage case in which she's your stepchild or a natural child and she's coming along with a spouse. You just got to follow up with the National Visa Center. We had that call earlier. She's an immediate relative under Child Status Protection Act and immediately eligible for a green card. Just keep following up.
Prudence on Facebook. I tried to use the machine to add value to the Metrocard. My account was debited, but no credit was added. Then I was wrongfully passed through the emergency subway gate and I was handed a yellow ticket. Will this affect my immigration process? I pleaded guilty and I paid the fine.
I doubt it.
Marian on YouTube. Can I apply for TPS if my hometown is 35 miles from Ukraine?
No, unless you are Ukrainian.
Pansita Ferguson on Facebook. I visited the U.S. on my visitor's visa and stayed 4 months. Is that okay? I had COVID-19 in December to January and was not getting cleared to travel.
As long as you stay in legal status, it's fine.
Okay, Omogabi and Samba on YouTube. I've not received a receipt for the I-130 and 485 filed for by my U.S. citizen wife. I've been called for a pending asylum interview. Should I attend it before I receive the I-130 receipt?
He called on the show. I said withdraw it and just do the marriage.
Princess Paulette on Facebook. I applied for a K1 visa for my fiance in Jamaica 2020. It was approved in the U.S. and sent to Jamaican immigration on 11/21. We've not heard anything since then. How long does the process take?
Jamaica's backed up over a year.
And last one, Watchful Eyes on YouTube. I'm a 10-year green card holder. I want to know how to file for my 20-year-old daughter who came here at 12 years old. Will she need a 601A when it's time to do the adjustment?
Well, she's not going to adjust. She's going to do a 601A, go home and come back. You're going to file an I-130, but it's going to be 5, 6, 7 years because by the time her I-130 is approved, she's well into her 20s already. All right, this is very cool. Yo, stay and watch this.
Okay.
Everyone should stay and watch this. Tara Roberts, she's the host and executive producer of the National Geographic Podcast, Into the Depths, which documents black divers and marine archaeologists searching for slave trade shipwrecks in order to preserve the history of the African diaspora. The National Geographic Explorer joined me to discuss this amazing project, how it changed her life and perspective on African and African American history. Let's watch. Into the Depths is a 6-part podcast series that follows National Geographic Explorer Tara Roberts as she documents black divers and marine archaeologists who are searching for buried shipwrecks from the transatlantic slave trade. Along the way, Tara meets up with the descendants of those brought over on these ships, historians, as well as her friends and family, and comes to new personal revelations about her own family history and what belonging means. The first episode of Into the Depths aired on January 27th, 2022, and is available on Apple Podcasts and wherever people get their podcasts. Tara Roberts, the executive producer and host of the series, is with me to discuss the project. Welcome, Tara. First, let's watch a trailer for Into the Depths.
Black scuba divers are searching for shipwrecks from the transatlantic slave trade.
It was like diving on a gravesite.
And honoring the 1.8 million Africans who were lost. I'm National Geographic explorer Tara Roberts, and I dropped everything to travel with these divers.
Come to Costa Rica!
Join me for Into the Depths, a 6-part Nat Geo podcast series starting in January. It's gonna be an incredible journey.
Now, you were a professional editor of magazines such as Essence and Ebony, a director of communications, a business consultant. How did you get involved in the production of Into the Depths?
It's completely by accident. I definitely did not go out seeking to tell stories of the slave trade.
The best careers are always by accident.
Yeah, I happened to go to the National Museum of African American History and Culture in DC, and it was there that I saw a picture of a group of primarily Black women scuba divers. They were in wetsuits on a boat, and I had never seen Black women in wetsuits on a boat before like that. So I was like, who are they? What are they doing? And that's when I discovered that they were a part of this group called Diving with a Purpose, and that part of their mission was to search for and help document these slave trade shipwrecks. So I was amazed, stopped in my tracks, and I was like, what? This is incredible work. These people look like me, and they're doing what? I got to be a part of this in some way.
So how many divers are affiliated with this group?
The group itself has trained to date around 500 divers from around the world in this method of how to map a shipwreck. They are volunteers, so they're not paid to do this work in any way. And they come from all walks of life. Like, these people are students, teachers, engineers, filmmakers, policemen. They're just people who have a passion for scuba diving and who wanted to make a difference.
At what point did the trajectory of your entire life change while you are learning to dive and getting into this whole new experience?
When I called them up after I saw them in the museum, I actually didn't call to join them or to tell stories about them. At the time, I was working for a nonprofit, and this organization supported incredible people doing incredible work around the world. So I just thought the founder of this organization was brilliant and had an incredible vision. So I was like, well, maybe I can help them get funding. So I called them up to see if I could nominate them for a fellowship. And that started a conversation that went on for a couple of months. They didn't ultimately get the fellowship, but the founder, who's a gentleman named Ken Stewart, and he is, to date, he's 77 years young and still dives. So I called him up. It didn't work out. And he was like, he calls me by my full name. So that's how we got to know each other over time. And he was like, Tara Roberts, do you know that you live in the epicenter of Black scuba diving? And I was like, what? I was living in DC at the time. Right. So I was like, what?
Washington, D.C.?
Hello, Washington, D.C. But he was like, no, this is where the legends of Black scuba diving live. And he was like, you got to come dive with us. He got me a spot in the class that was being taught by this group called the Underwater Adventure Seekers. And they are so fascinating. They are the oldest Black diving club in the United States.
What was that going through your mind when you first started your first dive?
I wasn't a scuba diver, but I was a big swimmer. Okay. And I love the ocean. And I was like, I want to get down there and I want to explore.
How long was the training?
It was 3 months. And it was twice a week classes. Like, they don't play. They're like, the people who come out of our training are really going to be able to handle themselves under the water. So I did that for 3 months. And then I got my scuba certification in June of 2017. And then I went on my first ocean dive with the group in October. And so I knew that I wanted to participate in Diving with a Purpose. And Diving with a Purpose requires you to get 30 ocean dives under your belt. So when I did that first ocean dive, it was in Mexico with the Underwater Adventure Seekers Club. So when it was like, I don't know, like 40 of us that descended on a resort in Cozumel. And so it's all these Black people diving. And people were like, what? I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. Like 40 of us just coming in strong. In that moment, I started to think there's a story here. people needed to know that these people existed and that they were doing this sort of work in the world. I'm a journalist by trade. Storytelling, that's like my root.
So you changed your career and then you became a National Geographic explorer, and you were the first Black explorer to be featured on the cover of National Geographic magazine. How did that all come about?
Well, so February of 2018, I was like, I am going to tender my resignation and pursue this full time. And at the time, I didn't have an assignment. I didn't have funding. I didn't know if anybody would care about this story. But I think sometimes when you start down a path, like doors that otherwise would not have been there suddenly appear and they open for you.
Exactly.
So some sort of way in my inbox, I found a notice about Nat Geo's Explorer Grant. And I was like, well, this is a story about the ocean. It's people. And they were doing storytelling grants at that time. And so I applied for a grant, didn't know if I would get it or not. Was like, just put it in and we'll see what happens. That was in June. And by September, I heard back from Nat Geo and got the grant. And so that gave me the funding that I needed to travel with them. I was like, I'm just going to follow them and write blogs about it. But the longer I was on the journey, the more I was like, man, this is way bigger than like 200-300 word blogs. This is a big story to tell. Let me tell it as an audio story.
Now, why do you think the establishment of a scuba diving of the Black community is so important, other than just we're scuba divers, Black, white, Hispanic, Asian?
So remember I mentioned the Underwater Adventure Seekers Club that was started in 1959? That was started by Doc Jones. So he is the founder of that organization and is considered really the grandfather of Black scuba diving in the US. So if you just take your imagination back to 1959. This is before the Civil Rights Movement, when there was a lot of segregation in the US. So Doc Jones, who learned how to dive in the military, found that people didn't want him on boats. They didn't want to buddy up with him. So to go down, when you scuba dive, you have to be partnered with somebody. You can't go down by yourself because it's not safe. He was on boats and people didn't want to buddy up with him because he was Black. So he started the Underwater Adventure Seekers Club to create a space where Black divers would find acceptance, would find people who were eager to do the sport and who weren't afraid to connect with him. And what he found after he founded that club was that there were other people interested in diving who also had the same experience around the United States. So the idea came to create more and more clubs in different cities so that more Black folks would have access and support around diving.
Now we have a group of Black scuba divers who are now scuba diving for shipwrecks of slave ships that didn't make it to the Americas. How did that all come about?
So I mentioned this gentleman, Ken Stewart, the one who calls me Tara Roberts all the time. Ken was the Southern representative at NABS. So again, I think none of this would have been possible without Doc Jones. He was the visionary that set the stage and the foundation for all of this. But Ken was the Southern representative. He was based in Tennessee, and he got introduced to an archeologist at a park in Florida, Biscayne Bay National Park. And part of the jurisdiction of a national park is the water surrounding the area. And so this woman, her name was Brenda Lazendorf, was responsible for all the submerged resources that were in that park. And there were shipwrecks there because it was Florida's Biscayne Bay, lots of shipwrecks there. And she thought that there was a shipwreck for the Guerrero, which is a Spanish slave ship that wrecked around Key Largo. So she's the lone archeologist, Ken just shared that you can't dive without buddies. So she reached out to NABS to see if there were any divers that would be interested in learning how to dive for slave shipwrecks so that she could get some help in finding and bringing documentation to the Guerrero. she reaches out to Ken. She invites him down. He's like, yeah, that sounds amazing. We'll come down and learn. And Ken was like, this is awesome. And he was like, you know what? Let's invite more NABS members. And let's not just dive for fun, but let's dive with a purpose. So then Diving with a Purpose was created.
The shipwreck of the slave ship, the Henrietta Marie, that was the impetus for Diving with a Purpose. Can you tell us what the story of that boat was?
The Henrietta Marie, it was an English ship, and it dropped off captive Africans in Jamaica. And it had made more than one trip, but on its way back to England, it got caught in a storm and it wrecked. And the Henrietta Marie is interesting because it was found by accident. A group of salvagers and treasure hunters who were looking for a ship that reportedly had like the richest haul on it. And they eventually found it. It took them like 20 years to find the ship. But while they were looking for that, and it's like a $400 million treasure that was on that ship. But while they were looking for it, they came across these artifacts from the Henrietta Marie. And they came across things that they knew weren't attached to the other ship. So they brought those up, and that group ended up reaching out to Doc Jones and asking the National Association of Black Scuba Divers if they could bring some of the artifacts and share them with the group. And they brought things like shackles, like really the things that proved that this was a ship involved in the slave trade. And Doc Jones and the rest of NABS, they were so moved by what they saw that they wanted to memorialize the wreck. And so they raised money and ended up putting down a plaque at the wreck site. Since it had already been found, it had already been documented, many of the artifacts had been brought up. So there wasn't a lot to do with it, but they thought that they could memorialize it.
Something you discuss in your podcast, which I didn't know about, was something called the 1870 brick wall. And can you explain what the 1870 brick wall is and how it's impacted Black Americans' ability to know their full story about their own personal and collective ancestry?
Sure. The 1870 brick wall is, it's a term that genealogists use. And what it means simply is that before 1870, the United States Census did not track identifying details of those who were enslaved. So before 1870, it's almost impossible unless you have oral myth or like artifacts from your family. It's almost impossible to go to the archives to find people. A lot of Africans were stripped of their names, they were stripped of their identities, they were renamed. And even if you knew some of their names, you still can't find those identifying details. So it is almost impossible for most African Americans to trace back to a ship, and definitely to trace back to Africa.
I think that is so interesting.
Wow.
We were just talking, I didn't even know about that 1870 wall, that there was no record of anybody born who was a slave prior to 1870. So anyone who
that's not even that far back.
There's
that's
150
so many
years ago.
Yeah.
So there's no record if you come from slaves from, you can only trace your ancestry back to 1870.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was super, super interesting.
Tomorrow, Tara is going to go more detail about Into the Depths podcast and what she has discovered through her work Diving with a Purpose and National Geographic. You ready for speed round?
Let's do it.
All right, you ready, Yo-Yo? Let's do it.
Yep. Can a company file for a staff member if they're out of status?
Yeah, but whether they'll get a green card, who knows?
How long for a sister to file for her out of status brother?
15 years, but again, if you get a green card, who knows? Because they need a provisional waiver, which you can't get through a sister.
Does my priority date need to be current before I request an expedite?
Yes.
Can I apply EAD under a different category?
If you qualify.
Do you still need proof of negative PCR test to travel to the U.S.?
You need vaccination.
My U.S. citizen wife is in low-income housing. Will that affect my green card approval?
Probably not anymore.
Can I re-enter the U.S. with a closed misdemeanor case that I had in the U.S.?
As long as it's not dismissed, yes.
My green card was stolen. What do I do?
What?
My green card was stolen. What do I do?
Apply for a new one.
What's faster, green card with USCIS or with immigration court?
USCIS.
Is a TPS holder who entered without an inspection able to convert to permanent resident if married to a U.S. citizen? You was giving very long answers.
Been a while.
And then that last question is going to be a whole
like a paragraph.
Is
enter without inspection, TPS? No, unless you're 245I.
Okay.
Or you traveled on advance. Oh, no, you can't travel unless you traveled on advance parole prior to April 2020 now, because Trump changed the law. So if you came without inspection, had TPS, you travel on advance parole prior to August 2020 and returned, you could adjust after August 2020 now.
Thank you, Carol Anderson, the Tiger. Thank you.
What?
She said next time, team.
Next time, team.
She said, let's do this. She had her back, man. But yeah, that wasn't good.
I feel pain when that bomb goes off.
Yeah.
It's very painful, yo. All right, comments of the day.
All right. All right, our first comment of the day. We have from Miloslav Minkov.
Oh, haven't heard from you in a while.
I know. Saying, missed you guys. Finally able to watch you live. Don't get me wrong. I'm always watching your show, even when I miss it. Aw.
Thank you.
We're happy to get you live.
And he's done. He's done with his.
Yeah.
His immigration is over.
Yeah.
He even announced it on our show.
That's what's up.
Yeah,
That's
he
what's
still
up.
watches.
Well, we also have some other great news from Burrell Arias saying, I have great news. I submitted my citizenship papers in February and I'm now a new citizen. My swearing and ceremony is tomorrow morning. It took about 9 weeks.
Wow.
Wow.
That's as fast as I've heard.
9 weeks.
Very good job, whoever did that. 9 weeks. Very fast.
Congratulations. We love that.
They're doing citizenship fast, but I haven't heard 9 weeks.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. All right, and our last one for today. Talking about this amazing story, like we were saying, Elizabeth Francis saying, very interesting and inspiring story.
It is. Yeah, I like the story too.
Made me want to go and start, scuba diving.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty cool.
I've snorkeled. I've never scuba dived.
I've snorkeled. I've never scuba dived either.
Yes.
I'm kind of afraid from going down. But
except I snorkeled and there was the that fish with the long
swordfish?
No, that killed the manta ray.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, he was like right underneath
Steve
me.
Irwin.
Yeah, he was right underneath me.
I remember you telling me that.
I said, I never swam so fast in my life. He looked at me, that manta ray looked at me. He said, nah, not today, Brad. I'll spare you.
Yeah. That's why I belong above.
Yeah.
I belong above.
Anyways, have a great evening, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow for Hump Day. Thanks for watching. So, Sam, as part of the production, we have to say this disclaimer at the end of the show. Do you mind reading it for me?
Okay, but Brad, I have to do everything around here.
Forget it. I'll do it. The proceeding was information only and not specific legal advice. Consult an attorney about your individual situation. Prior successful results do not guarantee a similar outcome in the future. To make an appointment with the Spar and Bernstein law firm located at 225 Broadway in New York City, call 1-800-529-5465. That's 1-800-529-5465. Easy to remember, 1-800-LAW-LINK. That's 1-800-LAWLINK. Once again, make a call to 1-800-529-5465. And of course, link up with the law offices of Spar and Bernstein, located at 225 Broadway on the 5th floor. If I were you out there, make the call, make the link, make the connection, make it Spar and Bernstein. 1-800-LAWLINK. That's 1-800-529-5465. And visit us now at our Connecticut office, 221 Main Street, Suite 501, Hartford, Connecticut. Visit us in Connecticut or in New York at 225 Broadway. That's 1-800-529-5465. 1-800-LAW-LINK, 1-800-529-5465. are you doing?